Hi, this is Sibila Extreme Vocal and welcome to another episode of the free analysis of your extreme vocals. I have randomly chosen 3 recordings. For today's analysis, I have no idea what will appear, what are they going to show us. So, without any further bullshit talking, let's have a listen to the first recording. The last one sounded a bit like Chris Barnes. But anyway, let's see from who we received the recording. It's from Greku Klosu. Alright, so it sounds like some false chord attempts, but let's see what he has to tell us. Alright, so it's in Polish. I will make a quick translation so you would know the context. It's a bit of everything, like connecting everything. That's why I used such a title. A recording isn't scratching, it doesn't hurt, it's a recording from a phone. Everything is from today. Warm regards, best regards. I think it would be the best to just give a listen once again. And what is, in your opinion, good? What requires fixing? And what are your advices? I don't know what is your opinion on that topic, but for me it sounds like Anonym wanted to do some false chord. But as you probably hear, it's far from perfect. This is actually an example of how to not do it. It's not about the mocking someone or telling that something sucks or whatever. It's not the point. It's just an example of the technique that isn't going to deliver the best possible sound or the highest possible comfort. Even if he doesn't feel any kind of discomfort, I don't think that blowing so much air through the larynx is anything close to healthy or even neutral for the voice, because our voice simply hates too much air that is flowing through the larynx. That air, especially in the long run, can physically irritate your vocal folds, the mucous membrane, in your larynx, in your throat, and whole vocal tract. If you were trying to nail false chord, don't do it like this. Let's give a listen once again, and beside noises, observe and listen carefully to the way how Anonym is inhaling the air. That's also a very important element of his performance. I don't know if you heard that, but there was a massive breath, like, and then, we know that it's not the most effective way of how to approach the false chord, because too much air is flowing, but also there are another factors that have to be fixed. So the first thing is the way how he inhales the air. The breath is simply too big to deliver any kind of good quality vocals, no matter if it was singing like or a fry or a false chord. As you hear, it doesn't sound good as well. I will try now to emulate the sound of Anonym. Again, not to mock him, just to show you how it sounds in my case. Then I will put it also to the first factors to learn what I engage while making such noises. It can help all of you that are struggling with engaging your false vocal folds and learning the false chord growl or a false chord scream, or even a distortion like oh yeah, hey, let's give a listen once again. All right, so it's like so how do you think? What are good elements in my approach for the false chord growl, and what, in your opinion, is definitely wrong? I am really curious. If you have your own observations and opinions, feel free to write a comment. I think that both me and other viewers will gladly get to know your opinions. We can exchange our observations and experience for the benefit of us all. We can all learn. Me too. I am also learning by recording that series of videos. All right. So it's like. So I can tell that definitely there is a bit of false vocal folds engagement in the whole process, but it's kind of overwhelmed by the presence of the arytenoid cartilages and the engagement of the epiglottis. And beside them, also true vocal folds are producing a breathy and forceful at the same time sound in the background. So it's not like a, for example, basic growl. It's so the airflow is like, and even if I just want to blow the air from my larynx without creating any kind of a sound, my vocal folds are getting engaged, like. So that's the type of clean sound that is present in the background of the false chord of anonym. And beside it, there's also a little bit of false vocal folds engagement, but most importantly, a kind of mixture. I don't know if it's mostly like arytenoid cartilages or epiglottis, or maybe only epiglottis or arytenoid cartilages, because clearly I don't see what happens exactly in my larynx. I would need to do an endoscopy to have an idea what is exactly happening there, but definitely the most of the distortion doesn't come from the false vocal folds. So it's too breathy, it's too voicey, and the grit, the distortion, is mostly from other parts of the voice than the false vocal folds. So that's the whole issue here to fix. Let's give a listen to the further part of the recording. Maybe something will be better, or we will come to more conclusions and observations. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. 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 It's something like between Red Roses too, like a jazz growl, like Louis Armstrong did, for example, and Doug Cargira. But again, it's too breathy. The breath is shallow. It's also at the same time very constricted. And the voice seems to be moved back, like we wanted to swallow the root of our tongue. And then we sound like this. It's also often a part of so-called Cookie Monster, something like that. I can't repeat it too many times because first, I am a little bit ill. Second, it just fucks up my throat very quickly. When we have problems with the breath support, then we will likely compensate the lack of proper support with engagement of other parts of our body that can compensate simply the lack of proper support. People often tighten jaw, the root of the tongue, the neck, and even shoulders, or everything at the same time. That's the whole issue. The whole technique needs repairing. Like, it would be very important to take a closer look at the posture of the anonym, because the posture impacts the way how we breathe, and if our shoulders are tight or chest is tight or neck is tight, our breathing will be more shallow. Also, posture determines whether our body is in a proper balance, or maybe some part of the body is too lazy, some is constricted. The next thing is breathing, because again, if breathing is shallow, then everything he will produce will be constricted. And good breathing technique is also very much connected to our posture. The third thing is the breath support. Does he support properly, or maybe he's tightening his abs? Because when we will tighten our abs, instead of even a basic growl like this, we will get something like something like this. The next thing is the resonance. How he uses his clean voice. Is the voice free from any kind of unnecessary pressure, tension, constrictions? Or maybe it's stuffed in the throat and it doesn't reach the sinuses area of face, head, and overall other resonators than chest and throat. Even when Alex Terrible is doing his very deep and low growls and gutturals, it's clear that he's using both upper resonators, the area of head and face, and the lower resonators, which are closer to the throat and chest. So using both sets of resonators will result in getting the biggest, the heaviest, the sharpest, and the least demanding, both for the voice and our muscles, supporting muscles, sounds that we are able to produce. So we will sound better, voice will be naturally bigger, deeper, sharper, and at the same time we will save much energy. And thanks to that, we can practice longer, we can do longer gigs or tours. Instead of one gig, we are able to do 2 or 3 gigs in a row, and so on and so on. And the cherry on top of the vocal technique is actually how to do the false chord, because it's like building a house. A house needs solid foundation, otherwise it can easily collapse. Let's give a listen to the rest of the recording. I think that the observations, conclusions will be pretty much the same. If you need help with your vocals, both learning from scratch and setting proper foundations for your vocal technique, and learning extreme vocals, feel free to message me any time on Facebook, Extreme Vocal, or on email that should appear somewhere here. Okay, and now the rest of the recording. Alright, Anonym. So, thank you for the recording and your story. If you need any help with vocals, feel free to contact me anytime. I will gladly do my best to help you. And now, let's give a listen to this second recording.
Do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. Jungle, welcome to the jungle. Watch it bring it to ya. Knees in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Feel my serpentine.
Cool. That sounds like some really decent raspy singing. It sounds like a mixture between Axl Rose and Phil Anselmo from Pantera, from the Cowboys from Hell. Really cool, really interesting. And in your opinion, what is good, what requires fixing, and what are your advices to actually do it better? Let's give a listen once again, and then we will see what. Welcome to the jungle vocal section, Joseph. What Joseph has to tell us.
Do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. Jungle, welcome to the jungle. Watch it bring it to ya. Knees in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Feel my serpentine.
Let's see what Joseph has to tell us. Alright, so here is it's pretty long message from Joseph. Hello. I've been singing for around 2 years and have pretty much solely focused on my range with purely clean vocals. However, now it is required that I sing heavier songs like Metallica, Pantera. That would explain the kind of Phil Anselmo vibe in this recording from Joseph. I've attached a video of me singing and holding some notes. I have no idea if I am using false chords technique or fry screen technique, as I struggle to distinguish between the two. Second video is taken from a song cover I did with much higher notes. I used the same technique for these and felt no pain, just slightly hoarse afterwards. It doesn't surprise me and that he felt a little bit hoarse after such intense singing, because it requires really good stamina. Muscles have to be both strong to sustain and be able to hit such high notes, both supporting muscles and muscles in the larynx that are responsible for connecting our vocal folds in a healthy and effective at the same time way without cracking our voice. And so that's very demanding physically shit, you know. Some people have it naturally, other people have to develop that, and not everyone is able to sing with that kind of mixed voice so high. So huge respect for Joseph, because after 2 years being able to sing so high and using the mix, wow, that is pretty impressive. So I am not surprised at all that he felt a little bit hoarse after such singing. His voice definitely required rest after practice like that. And you might ask why I think that it's not surprising that he felt hoarse. Just give a listen how his voice is starting to gradually give up.
Knees in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Feel
Very high. And trying to do it high, but struggling to get as high as previously, and then short, quick breath, and trying to increase the pitch, and again, and then that kind of like a punch and attack.
my serpentine.
Yeah, that was like a relief, short recovery, and then punching with a little bit more force at the end. But his voice around here literally started to give up.
Knees in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle.
And it's no surprise for me. That shit is really heavy. Alright, singing like this doesn't give me any pain, but it greatly dries out my voice, and I even have a small cough, feel hoarse afterwards. So I don't believe I am doing it correctly. So the case is very simple. You use too high intensity, which means you try to sing too high, and you also, from what you've mentioned, try to add that distortion to your singing, which even increases the level of intensity more. So simply, it's like doing workouts at the gym. If you aren't able to lift for sets, I don't know, 200 pounds or something, don't force yourself to do workouts with 200 pounds. Decrease the weight to like 180 pounds. Don't aim for too big, too heavy weight if you are not ready, because it's currently overwhelming. It's just too much for your muscles. With vocals, it's very similar. Maybe this song is simply too high, too intense, and your voice is not ready to nail it from the very beginning till the very end. And even if you are able to sing it properly, but here there were many moments when you were out of tune. I hear it even without the backtrack, the instrumental. It's a clear sign that this song is simply too much for your current level of advancement. And there is nothing wrong with that. You can keep that song in mind as an aim that you want to achieve, but reaching this aim will be much easier if you will not try to do like a very big leap, but instead of that you can choose easier song to practice with, and once that easier song will be nailed, which means that you can sing it a couple of times in a row and it doesn't create any kind of discomfort, hoarseness, dehydration or anything like this, then it means that your voice and you are ready to make a next step and choose a little bit higher, a little bit more demanding song. And again, if you will nail it, then you can try to sing this one. Okay. Also, I find it a lot easier to do higher notes with this technique. Anything below A3 gives me instant pain when I attempt to add distortion. It's no surprise for me because the mixed voice, I think it's like head dominant mixed voice that you use for singing in this recording is destined for higher pitch, not only above the A3, but even higher above the A4 or G4, depending on your range. But anyway, it's no surprise again that anything below A3 gives you discomfort, because that type of singing, especially with head dominant mixed voice, it doesn't suit lower or mid notes too well. A3 is good for a chest dominant mixed voice or just chest voice. So A3, I will play it on a piano to show you that it's definitely not the best pitch to use the head dominant mix. That's the note. You can sing along if you want to, just to check by yourself, is it high or not that high. For me it's kind of like mid-high note. For that note and everything below, it's better to use the chest voice or chest dominant mix voice than the head dominant mix or even head voice. For the distortion, it's also more effective. Yeah! Just wondering if I could get some advice, as I don't wanna risk damaging my voice. That's very good. You don't want to damage your voice. Thank you for such detailed message and the recording. Your vocals are great for only 2 years of experience. I think that your technique requires simply balance, you know, finding a song that suits your current range, isn't too demanding physically for supporting and breathing muscles and for your voice most importantly, and sticking with 2 or 3 songs that are not too hard, not too easy, nailing them and gradually increasing the level of difficulty, ultimately reaching songs like Welcome to the Jungle or even higher stuff, because again your voice has really fucking great potential. And I like that Phil Anselmo vibe. He was also very goddamn good singer in the 90s and was also using that kind of head dominant mix. Sometimes he was also using falsetto for higher notes, very similar to Rob Halford from Judas Priest. But anyway, let's give a listen once again, and then I will take a quick look if I didn't miss anything in the message from Joseph.
Do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die.
This is the Phil Anselmo vibe I mentioned.
You're gonna die.
Here.
Jungle, welcome to the jungle. Watch it bring it to ya. Knees in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Feel my serpentine.
And this is also very Phil Anselmo-like.
My serpentine. My serpentine.
A fry distortion with the voice and that you bite.
My serpentine.
My serpentine. I can't do it that high, but I would love to. Anyway, quick look at the message once again, just in case if I missed anything. This is something that I didn't focus too much on. I've attached a video of me singing and holding some notes. I have no idea if I am using false chords technique or fry scream technique, as I struggle to distinguish between the two. You are using compression, ha. So not compressed voice is like ha 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 ha, and compressed voice is more like ha 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 ha. Hey, a little raspiness appears along the compression, so it's not na na na, it's more like na 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 na. Ha, I am talking now with the compression, and there is a little bit of raspiness in my voice, and now I am talking without the compression, just my soft, natural, polished voice. And so you are using compression for singing. There is raspiness, the distortion more precisely, and when you do that kind of a bite, you are closer to the fry distortion.
My serpentine.
This is what I mean.
My serpentine.
Something like this combined with your singing voice appears. That's more like a fry distortion then. Oh, and the difference between fry scream and false chord. The most important difference between false chord, even a basic growl like and the fry scream, a basic fry scream like wow, whoa, is the work of our true vocal folds. So when we do the fry noise, which is a little scream, or a fry scream, wow, then our vocal folds are connected, but in a gentle way, and they are starting to vibrate very fast and chaotic at the same time, and they start to produce a noise, the fry, which is kind of pitchless. We can't hit a note with the fry scream itself without any addition of our clean voice. We can't even hit a note with the vocal fry, with that because it's also a total noise. So it's like it's not possible to hit with the fry itself any note, because that's just a noise. Okay, and to the fry and the engagement of our true vocal folds, we can engage also false vocal folds. And when we do false chord, our true vocal folds are not behaving in such a way. And the sound is created mostly by our ventricular folds, the false vocal folds, which are above the true vocal folds, and they are thinner. So even if there is a bit of voice behind the growl, vocal folds are not creating the fry. And when we do the fry, wow, we don't have to engage our false vocal folds at all, because the noise comes from our vocal folds, which are vibrating in a chaotic and rapid manner. and they are at the same time connected, but not too forcefully. It's pretty gentle. Okay, and an example of fry scream engaging false vocal folds. Whoa! Yeah! So a normal fry, wow! Something like this! And yeah! Something like this! And the false chord, whoa! Something like this! Just basic examples. Okay, so now I think I've related to everything that was in the message. We also listened to the recording a couple of times. So, Joseph, find balance, find songs that you can perform. They are not too easy, but not too demanding. In the songs that you practice with, this is something very, very important to not tire your voice too much, too quickly, and to keep it safe from damage, and to gradually increase the level of difficulty to be able to sing any song that you literally want to sing. And again, your voice has great potential. So good luck with your practice. In case of any questions, feel free to contact me anytime. I will gladly do my best to help. Okay, and now let's give a listen to the last recording for today. Oh, that was pretty long. Alright, so that's definitely an approach for nailing some fry scream. The beginning is not the best, but it's getting better and better the longer he's trying to find the fry scream. Alright, so this is the recording fry scream maybe from Hubert. Hi, in the beginning I am performing fry scream, then I am transitioning into the false chord growl. Maybe the false chord growl will appear later. Or maybe it's in another recording that Hubert sent me. I hope that it went pretty good. And about the nickname, let it be just Hubert. XD. I can't wait the video, the episode. Alright, so this is the recording from Hubert. He's trying to nail some fry scream. You heard how it went. It was pretty good, although the beginning wasn't the best. But keep in mind that the beginning with the fry screen technique is sometimes very, very humble. And you can sound literally like shit, you know? There is nothing wrong in that until you are improving with each week of your practice and you are starting to sound better and better and your voice feels safe, which means that it's comfortable. Things that you do with your voice are comfortable or at least neutral and they aren't devastating your voice. Okay, let's give a listen once again. Keep in mind that this is how an fry screen can sound in the very, very beginning until you will learn how much air you should use, how to get rid of too much voice by relaxing your vocal folds properly, how to use properly compression, how to avoid too high volume and intensity. So that's a very raw, a very basic example of a fry scream approach. Here it sounds good. And now his voice is cracking. He's starting from a vocal fry like then he's starting to kind of relax vocal folds and compress the sound like with opened mouth it would sound like this. Such a transition. And then and he is aiming for releasing the fry scream. I can tell that he aimed for definitely too high pitch and maybe at the same time too high intensity. And if it wasn't so high, something like this is in the background of the fry, then he would perform a really juicy, cool fry scream. Okay, so instead of such an approach, which is like, it's definitely not the most comfortable type of vocals to perform because it's simply too high. Everything is very tight in my larynx and it doesn't sound good. So instead of such an approach, it could be like it's much more balanced. So it's not like aiming for a very, very high pitch and intensity, which are tightening everything in our larynx hard as fuck. It can be a little bit more calm, a little bit smoother, softer transition into the fry scream, like it's much more consistent, easier to sustain. It requires much lesser tension of everything, both supporting muscles and anything close to the larynx. So this is something that I would recommend to fix the way how you, Hubert, are beginning the fry screen, because instead of this, it can be this. So it's not like this high. Try to find balance. Balance, not too high pitch, not too high intensity. But overall, that's a pretty decent approach for the fry scream. I can tell because I deal with this shit every day, a couple of times a day. So believe it or not, it's not bad at all. I don't tell it's perfect and there's nothing to fix, but still, technically, he's reaching the fry scream. Maybe not in a perfectly balanced way, but technically he's reaching the fry scream. Around that moment, it sounds the best. Like his voice found a more stable and the most relaxed position for itself. That was an approach for the fry scream, and now let's listen to the further part of the recording. That sounded like a combination of fry scream from the vocal fry with a bit of distortion, because it's definitely not false chord for sure. But I hear a bit of like a distortion engaging false vocal folds in the background of the scream. So just compare those two sounds. This and, for example, this. So it's like and maybe not exactly like this, but and there is more voice, which means that vocal folds are more firmly connected, but at the same time there is in the background that the distortion, which is partially created by the false vocal folds in the arytenoid cartilages. So this is something that he's adding to his approach for the fry screen that we listened. There is a kind of broken voice and the fry, and it's all combined together, a little bit out of balance again, because it's too heavy, too intense, it sounds like it was a fresh thing for his voice, and he's looking not for like the best possible sound, but for making that noise at all, being able to make that sound, to create such a sound, not to make it perfect, but just to reach it, you know, even if it will be far from perfect. Let's listen again. No! Something a little bit like this. No! Something like that. I think he sounds better than what I am showing you, but something like this: broken voice, distortion, and fry. And what makes me wonder is the very beginning of that part of the recording. Just listen. That. It sounds like he wanted to reach his false chord, but instead of using false vocal folds or false chord distortion, he's lowering the pitch of his voice as much as possible, but at the same time he's lowering his pitch in a very, very bad way. So when we want to lower our voice, we should avoid exactly this thing. That because then our voice sounds like this. It's lifeless. It sounds like garbage. There is too much air that is flowing through the larynx, which is irritating the mucous membrane in the larynx, the vocal folds, the vocal tract, and it simply doesn't sound good. It's not about lowering the voice and like pushing it deeper, deeper, deeper down your throat, down your chest, like. And it's not definitely a way of how to reach your false chord. Damn. Okay, so when we lower our voice, it's more about thinking in the opposite direction to what instinct is forcing us to follow. So our instinct is like, you want to lower your pitch, huh? Then push your fucking voice down your throat. Wrong. Totally opposite. When we want to sing lower, it's about thinking that we want to sing more and more through the top of our head. So it's not like it's and not this. Okay, so this is very, very bad, and it's not creating false chord, lowering the pitch before doing a fry scream and kind of swallowing the voice is also very bad thing. And not only before the fry scream, but when we do anything vocal related overall. He did something very unhelpful. Is there a word like this? Like just opposite to helpful, but he still managed to do something pretty good. So I wonder what would happen if he began the transition into the scream properly. So it doesn't have to be like it can be just sounds much better, yeah, and it's much easier. So it's not like that's the whole difference in my case. And I just wonder how would it sound in the case of Hubert. But anyway, that's very raw, very uncontrolled, and very spontaneous approach for performing a fry scream. I'm sure that within next 2 or 3 months, he will be able to deliver some really good fucking screaming. If he will not mess anything up, and most importantly, if he will fix the issues that I've told you about, which is not aiming for too high pitch, too high intensity, balancing the pitch, balancing that intensity. Then what requires fixing is the way how he is engaging his false vocal folds, so it's not like it doesn't have to be on the lower pitch, because false chord is kind of pitchless. No, 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 no. And you can also learn distortion, like or Cargera throat singing, for learning how to connect your false vocal folds engagement with the fry scream. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or yeah, yeah, whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow! And here we have a fry engaging false vocal folds. Anyway, Hubert, thank you for sharing your story, your recording. Thank you all of the participants for sharing your stories, your recordings. I hope that my observations will be helpful for you. Viewers, if you have your own observations or you don't agree with me at some points, feel free to share your mind in the comment below the video. I think that both other viewers and me, we will gladly learn about that. Alright, so I think that's enough for today. Thank you for your attention and time. Have a great weekend, have a great practice. Cheers and love, fuckers. If you like the video, feel free to give thumb up and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot for its development. And what is curious, I'm checking out the statistics in the end of every year, and if at least like 50% of people that is visiting the channel and gave subscription, we would have like 50 fucking thousand subscribers, you know? So I don't know if you don't like materials and you're just, look, I will not subscribe this, or I don't talk about that because I don't talk about subscribing to the channel at all. There's only a short picture at the end of each of the video where I tell that you feel free to subscribe to the channel, but beside that I don't do it, so maybe it's my fault. But now I will start to talk shit like other great big YouTubers. If you like this channel, subscribe, it means a lot for its development.